There are a few things I want to cover in this video. First of all, it's very unlikely we'll get an update this week, as the Korean devs have just posted that there will not be one for them. Although we should be getting Tico Talks this Tuesday, highlighting the release of the new trials for the new 4-star dungeons. Additionally, you may have noticed a bug when you open the auction house. It appears to display like maybe a new tier of gear, a crossbow that's not been in the game, and a background that looks quite a bit different to the usual legendary stuff. Additionally, if you go digging around in the game files, you can find a new tier called Celestial. So let's go over everything we know so far. Again, very likely no maintenance this week. No game updates. What that means is Orb Crossbow will still be trivializing PvE content with the sheer amount of damage output it has in a party setting. But apparently the devs aren't concerned about this, as it doesn't look like they'll be making changes this week. But again, we will be getting some news from Tico tomorrow, and maybe he'll give some actual news on it. But if you remember, they did have Tico Talks for September, and they did highlight that they would nerf the Orban Crossbow and the Orban Staff. Now they did kind of, but just for like solo players who were relying on Temporal Leap to reset Selfless Diffusion or High Focus. But in a group setting, nothing has changed. Their damage output did not get touched, bar a minuscule nerf to Stellar Dash. So they are still dominating, and that is very clear when you look at the trial rankings. The majority of damage dealers are all Crossbow Orb, and then you will have tanks and healers usually being Crusader and Seeker. So yeah, we'll see what he has to say tomorrow. But I personally think something needs to be done. Either other classes got to get buffed, or that crazy synergy between Orb Crossbow has got to get a bit nerfed. And it mainly originates from Rift Fracture being a weaken that procs instantly and then can be reapplied instantly, giving a ton of cooldown with Selfless Diffusion. They could simply make Rift Fracture not be considered a weaken, and boom, you'd have a ton less cooldown and you wouldn't be able to spam these abilities as much. But of course, you don't want to kill it altogether. It still should be competitive compared to other options. But let's move on to the talk of a new tier of gear, because we will be getting a new raid next year, probably early next year, when we get the new region Nyx. And yes, how this could bring a new celestial tier. But first, let's highlight on this roadmap, and what we should be getting later this year still, is the artifact rework, rune presets, and armor skill core customization. This initial one, artifact rework, should be coming when we get the new trials, and as per their Twitter post, these should be coming late October, probably next week, which means the new tier of artifacts should be coming along with the rework, making them much more like runes. They won't give as many stats per individual piece, and we'll have a new tier, probably purple, meaning most of these will probably become redundant. And I doubt they will pay off much with regards to hoarding, meaning you'll have to farm them from scratch again. Later on, we probably get rune presets with these buff to Dallas Noah and giant cordy weapons. Well, the ability to upgrade them like we had with Tevent and Bilandir, with like ascended tier 2 arch bosses, ascended cordy, ascended Dallas Noah, a new reagent, and the ability to upgrade these to give them a boost to their skill effect. And then Tevent and Bilandir should be getting a boost with regards to the stats on the weapons, just to make them more in line with tier 3. So if I'm running Fury here, I should get a bunch more attributes on my Queen Bilandirs when it's upgraded like this, because the amount of attributes I'm missing is kind of crazy versus a tier 3 weapon. So we can look forward to that. And yes, when you look at armor skill core customization, you may be wondering what's that? And well, when you look at legendary armor or heroic armor, you can see they have this Dark Wings Bulwark, and their accessories have the Dark Wings Power. These would be what I would consider the armor skill cores, and they right now have no customization, no ability to change that. There just isn't any other ones. So this new system will very likely add new ones we can replace and put there. And yeah, you can see there's still a whole bunch of other content coming, like Tower of Greed, housing update, side stories, Archboss furniture, guild hall customization, along with these usual events. But yeah, early next year should come the new territory and the new raid. Once again, when you dig around in the files, you can find supposedly a new grade of Celestial and even Ancient. Just for reference, this is what Heroic is, that being the background color that we see right now in game, with these other particle effects on top of that. What is interesting is when you look at quest log, and you can see how they seem to already have that celestial grade on the background of these weapons, these items. It is more of a yellow rather than what it should be as more of an orange red. Even here, when you're building your character, it looks normal, like here, the intended colors, but when you highlight over it, it shows that they have the yellow background, the celestial. So it may very well be likely when we get the new raid that we would get a new grade of celestial equipment. I wouldn't panic, it's unlikely to directly replace what we're already using. They may have a system where you can upgrade, transfer this to the new tier, or simply allow you to slot an additional one, but I'm not sure how that would work with weapons. You would then have the legendary weapon plus a celestial weapon. And when you look at the game files, you can find the tag for Celestials like KS, and there were some solid costs and like ore costs. So for tier 9 here, you would need 17 million solid with 36 average stones, as described right here. Huge credit to Nick for sharing this with me. He also has a website with a ton of this data, which even includes the achievement list if you're interested. This is pretty much everything, including the secret achievements, which you can't normally see in game. Like there's no option to select and view them. This can be quite a bit of fun. You can get these achievement points, and you can even have them displayed on your character as you see here. When you look at other people, you can see that achievement point score. I haven't focused on it whatsoever, and you can select to enable it or not. And so when you look at other people, say this guy, he has an achievement points of over 7,000. You know that he's done quite a bit of farming in order to get those achievements. And I'm sure this list will help a ton if you want to go for a high score. Again, there's plenty of other sections here like fishing, expeditions, skills, calculators. And if you want to support the creator Nick, you can go and scroll down and you can click this link and buy him a coffee. But yeah, it's very interesting to see what's coming, and the fact that they're already looking at a new grade of equipment, Celestial and even Ancient. Just be aware, again, nothing's been confirmed by the devs, it's not official news, it's just us being sneaky, looking at the game files, digging around. We also have yet to get any confirmation on whether we're getting the gauntlet, and if so, when. If I was optimistic, I would guess perhaps we get the gauntlet during the second year Korean anniversary of the game, meaning in December, just around when we got Spear. But that might seem a little bit too early as we just got the orb. But we did get leaks for gauntlet at the same time as orb, so they could potentially have already been working at both at the same time and could be ready to go to release gauntlet pretty soon. But it is not listed on their roadmap, but we never know, they could just be releasing it as a surprise. Keep in mind, these names here are just all auto-translated. You have things like Rodman, 26 years, this clearly, not fully correct. It is just Google Translate doing its thing. So take these names with a grain of salt because they can be totally wrong. But at least we can get a general idea of what's going to happen. And my hunch is next week we get the artifact rework with the new trials. As they did officially post, we'll be getting them in late October. That means a trial version of Fate's Abyss and Colossal Colosseum. Again, no update this week. At least confirmed for the Korean server, which is a little bit unfortunate with regards to the server crashes and stability. Many of you have had their servers crashing before Arch bosses and before siege events. I assume those be the times when a lot of players log in and for whatever reason the servers can no longer handle that many players logging in and culminating in one place, which, yes, could bode ill for the future prospects of the game. However, the devs are still working on a ton of stuff, as we can already see just via the roadmap. This roadmap was released on a Korean stream just before the Tier 3 update dropped. You can check that on their official YouTube channel just with this video here. As you can see, this is where they presented the roadmap. So thanks all for watching. Another special thank you to all my channel members for your added support, and we'll see you guys around.